Calculus is the study of change, and it deals with the data and properties of functions of derivatives and integrals. It is used in many human activities, including physics, engineering, business, and economics. Economics is a branch of knowledge that is concerned with production, consumption, and the transfer of wealth. It is the study of how resources are used and the impacts they have on the world. Economic analysis commonly institutes quantitative methods when they review specific information regarding a country and its economy. Economic analysis is commonly referred to as a systematic approach to determining the optimum use of scarce or limited economic resource. In order to support their analysis, economists implement various mathematical techniques, most common of these being calculus. Calculus includes the use of a wide range of formulas in order to measure and determine limits, functions, and derivatives. Functions examine the relationship between two or more variables, whilst derivatives consider the rate of change for one variable in relation to the change of another, and both are important concepts in economics. Economic research uses calculus to examine functional relationships. For example, the dependent variable of income and its relationship between the independent variables of education and/or experiences. Differential calculus is the specific measure of a derivative that relates to a specific function. It is applied to the basic supply and demand curves, which are important to elemental economics, in order to determine how different factors or variables will shift the supply or demand curves in the economic market. Through the use of calculus and methods such as differential calculus and determining marginal revenue and costs, calculus helps businesses maximize profits and measure the rate of increase in profits resulting from any increase in production. It provides a mean for determining the amount of interest that may have to be paid on a loan and is an overall important aspect to the activity of economics. Calculus is used commonly throughout economics to determine marginal value of costs and revenue, to determine the rate of change between two variables, and many other problems. We shall be focusing on the problem of differentiation and rates of change as a result of price elasticity in this video today. First and second derivatives are usually used in calculus to search for and determine maximum and minimum points of a function. Economic goals may include maximizing profits, minimizing costs, or maximizing utility, and thus derivatives, maximums, and minimums are all important aspects found through the use of calculus. Using the concept of elasticity of demand, calculus helps us to determine the derivative of the demand function, elasticity or inelasticity, which are the maximum or minimum of demand, and the effects of these solutions. Calculus in Economics, Question 1. Find dr with respect to dp if r to the p equals p times d to the p, and thus show dr with respect to dp equals d to the p, bracket 1 plus e to the p, close bracket. Since Rp equals P times dP, and dr with respect to dP equals dP, bracket 1 plus EP, close bracket, we know that dr with respect to dP equals P d prime P plus dP. Our next step is to factor out dP on the first side. So dr with respect to dP equals P times d prime P over dP plus dP, close bracket, times dP. This then simplifies down to dr with respect to dP equals bracket P times d prime P over dP plus 1 times dP. Since we know that EP equals dd with respect to dP plus P with respect to dP, we can substitute EP into the equation as it equals the same as P times d prime P of dP. The answer we are left with is now dr with respect to dp, which equals dp bracket ep plus 1. This is the same equation as we were shown at the beginning, so we know that we have differentiated correctly. Calculus and Economics, question 2. When -1 is less than EP is less than 0, demand is inelastic. When EP is less than -1, demand is elastic. And when EP is equal to -1, demand is unit elastic. For each of these cases, what is known about R and R prime? If -1 is less than e to the p, which is less than 0, then dr with respect to dp equals dp bracket e to the p plus 1 close bracket, which ranges between 0 and 1. This means that dr with respect to dp is greater than 0, and thus any increase in price from p will cause an increase in revenue, similar to a minimum, because from price P, the revenue will only ever increase as the price rises due to the price being inelastic. If e to the p is less than -1, then dr with respect to dp, which equals dp bracket e to the p plus 1 close bracket, must be negative. This means dr with respect to dp is less than 0, and thus any increase in price will result in a decrease to revenue. This is a maximum because at the price P, revenue will only ever decrease as price is elastic and reacts to an increase in P negatively. If EP equals -1, then dr with respect to dp equals dp bracket ep plus 1 close bracket, which equals 0. This means dr with respect to dp equals 0, and thus any increase in price will be met with a decrease in demand that is the exact same offset. Regardless of what the price is, the revenue will not change. Calculus and Economics, question 3. Supposing the demand function is d to the p, which equals 1000 times 2 to the power of -0.012 times by p. Find d when p is $100 and the total revenue. In order to find d, we substitute p of 100 into the demand function. This means it will read 1000 times 2 to the power of -0.012 times 100. After rounded to the nearest whole number, we get the answer of 435. In order to find revenue, we use the formula dp times 100. If dp was 435, we substitute this into the equation and get the answer of 43,500. To find elasticity of demand, we use the formula EP equals -0.012 times P. If P was 100, we substitute this into the equation and get the answer of -1.2. As -1.2 is less than -1, we therefore know demand is elastic. In summary, calculus is extremely important in economics and the study of change. It helps economists in their own analysis of economic problems and provides a method for finding functions and derivatives regarding this. Calculus helps businesses when attempting to find ways to maximize profits and measures the rate of increase in profits resulting from any increase in production. It has a major effect on economics and has made it easier to approach mathematically.